I was still debugging line 212 of the emotional recall filter when the company group chat lit up. Nova Lynn, CEO. Police car light update, effective today, NeuroSync will prioritize the Synapse Sentinel protocol. All development teams shift focus. Details in shared drive. Big thanks to Kade Rowan for securing the deal. Let's make history. I froze. My hands hovered over the keyboard, fingers trembling slightly, as if they knew something I didn't yet. The cursor blinked against the screen like a heartbeat too fast to follow. I reread the message, then again. No prior heads up. No internal poll. No warning from Nova. And the name that made it worse, Kade. I clicked into the attached PDF like I was peeling a wound open. The Sentinel Protocol. The one we argued about behind closed doors. A system designed to monitor emotional spikes in live subjects. Originally pitched for trauma therapy, but recently twisted toward law enforcement and private security surveillance. I had told her, again and again, this isn't what we built this for. But she made the announcement. To everyone. First. The chat pinged again. Leah. Wait, is this real? This wasn't on the Monday board. Kade. New opportunities move fast. Vision has to keep pace. Lightbulb. Jackson, Ops led. Wow, congrats Nova and Kade. Huge. The little emojis. The corporate applause. The plastic excitement. It made my throat tighten. Then I saw her name typing. I watched it blink, then vanish. She didn't message me directly. I sat back, trying not to crumble in the middle of a glass office where interns passed by like whispers. The lights above felt too bright. My chair is too small. Everything, off. Just 3 years ago, we were two kids coding from her kitchen counter. Two bruised dreamers, me, fresh from my mother's deathbed, her trying to make sense of her dad's silent eyes in that hospital bed. We made a promise, build something that gave people their minds back. A future where memory and feeling weren't trapped by trauma. I gave her everything. My skills. My ideas. My time. My heart. But she gave this to Kade. The spotlight. The credit. The direction. And didn't even warn me. I tried to call her. Straight to voicemail. I stared at our chat. Last message from me, a week ago. You're still up. I couldn't sleep either. No response then. No response now. The air felt sharp. Too clean. Sterile in a way that made emotion feel like weakness. Then the other shoe dropped. An internal email. Subject, Platform Leadership Adjustments. Effective immediately, Eli Cheng will shift from Platform Architect to Lead Developer, Sentinel Integration. Oversight by CTO Rowan. I didn't even know we made him CTO. My desk blurred. I blinked. No tears. Not yet. Just the acid feeling in my chest, like my own nervous system was rejecting me. I pushed my chair back, grabbed my coat, and left. Didn't say anything to anyone. Not even Leah, who shot me a look across the hall. I couldn't bear the pity in her eyes. Outside, the air was cold. Not winter cold. Just that artificial chill that clings to glass buildings and success stories that forgot their origin. My phone buzzed again. Group chat. Nova Lynn. Super proud of this team. Let's disrupt the future. Rocket. Disrupt. I stared at that word like it was a knife. She disrupted us. Not just the company. Not just the product, but I thought we were. And the worst part? She didn't even think I deserved a conversation. Just a mention. And that was when something in me cracked, not like glass, but like ice finally giving way after years of holding too much weight. I don't go back to the office for 2 days. No one tells me to stay home. No one asks me where I am. And that silence says more than any ping on Slack ever could. On the third morning, I take the long route to NeuroSync HQ, walking past the little alley where Nova and I used to sneak bao buns after late-night coding sprints. The mural we once tagged with a neon blue NS logo is still there, fading under layers of smog and time. Back then, we were just two nobodies with 10 fingers, 4 Red Bulls, and a dream. I keep seeing her face when she said it that night. If we can make this work, Eli, it could change everything. Not just tech, us. Us. God, that word is poison now. My workstation's been moved. Of course. A new desk, further from the glass corner office where Nova sits. Close enough to see her profile if I wanted to look. But I don't. Instead, I stare at the blank code editor and let my mind drift to the first time we met. It was 8th grade. Robotics club. She wore a hoodie with soldering burns on the sleeves and had zero interest in talking to anyone, until I caught her debugging her bot's power loop upside down. I flipped the board, showed her the problem, and she just grinned. No thank you. No awkwardness. Just that grin. By college, we were inseparable. Both interns in competing labs, staying up till 4 a.m. building neural model simulations for fun. We talked about everything, what scared us, what drove us, what we wanted from this life. She hated being vulnerable. Said emotions were noise in a clean signal. And I loved her anyway. Never said it. Never dared to. Because the truth was, I thought I didn't need to. I thought about the work, the time, the loyalty, it all said enough. Maybe she felt it too, just didn't know how to name it. My dream was never about money or prestige. It was about my mom. The last time she recognized me, she gripped my wrist and whispered, "Don't let them take your memories, Eli. Don't ever let them steal who you are." She passed 2 months later. And I made a vow. That no child would ever have to watch their mother forget their name. Nova knew that. She held my hand at the funeral. She cried harder than I did. So how could she hand everything over to Kade, who thinks empathy is a liability, and pivot the entire company toward monitoring feelings, not preserving them? She knew. She just didn't care. I stay late that night, even after everyone's gone. I don't even code. I just sit in the dim hum of servers and stare at the floating NeuroSync logo bouncing on the big monitor like a screensaver from hell. Leah passes by with her messenger bag and stops in the doorway. "Thought you quit," she says. "I should've," I mutter. She steps in. Quiet. Calm. Always that way with Leah, like a lighthouse when everything else is fog. You know what she said in today's stand-up? Leah continues. "Called your code too idealistic. Said it wasn't scalable." I laugh. "It's bitter and sharp and tastes like ash." She used to call it visionary. "She used to look at you like you invented fire," Leah says. Then, now she looks at Kade like he owns oxygen. I wince. Not because it's untrue, because it's too true. She didn't even ask me, I whisper. About the pivot. About Sentinel. Nothing. Just dropped it like my opinion was a line of code to delete. Leah sits on the edge of the desk. Maybe she thinks she doesn't need you anymore. Yeah. I stare down at my hands. Maybe she's right. But deep inside, beneath the wreckage of pride and silence, something stirs. Not anger. Not yet. But a need. To prove that I was never just her loyal follower. That the dream was mine too. And I don't need Nova Lynn, or her goddamn chip, to carry it forward. I step into the neural core lab the next morning, expecting tension. What I don't expect is a stranger at my station. Kade Rowan. Slick, spotless, too well groomed for someone in deep tech. His blazer looks more VC than CTO. He's fiddling with my dev terminal like he owns the place. Technically, he almost does now. "Morning, Eli," he says without looking up. "Need your access cleared for the new Sentinel branch." Nova thought you'd want a head start. Nova thought. No mention of what I thought. No apology for rerouting my entire roadmap. "Didn't realize you were handling developer access now," I say. Kade finally looks up. His smile's too casual, too confident, like he knows something I don't. Or like he thinks he's already won. "I like to stay hands-on," he says. "Helps with alignment." Right. Because nothing says alignment like hijacking 3 years of platform ethics and turning it into a glorified brain surveillance system. He chuckles. "You're still thinking small, Eli. You built a tool. I'm helping Nova build an empire." I clench my jaw and say nothing. If I speak now, I'll say something I can't walk back. Later in the common area, the team is buzzing about a new demo. Some Sentinel feature that reads emotional volatility in real time, flags hostility, and triggers alerts. "It's insane," Jackson says. Kade showed me a test clip where the chip predicted a guy's meltdown before he even shouted. Leah leans in and murmurs to me, "You hear the words ethical boundaries anywhere in that meeting?" I shake my head. "I heard about scalable surveillance." She grimaces. "Feels like they're turning us into the NSA, but make it wearable." I look across the glass wall. Nova's in her office, standing beside Kade, laughing. Not the forced kind of laugh she uses with clients. It's real. Soft. Familiar. It used to be mine. That afternoon, she finally acknowledged me. We're in the central dev bay, everyone bent over terminals. I'm focused on code integrity, because unlike them, I still care if this tech hurts people. Nova walks in and heads straight to my desk. Can I talk to you? My fingers stop typing. Slowly, I turn. Now you want to talk. I was busy, she says. Her voice is calm, but the guilt flickers at the corners. Everything's moving fast. You don't say. I close my laptop with too much force. Funny how the world shifts without you when no one bothers to loop you in. Her gaze sharpens. This isn't about you being left out. This is about the company evolving. No, Nova. It's about you choosing to evolve without me. A pause. Around us, no one breathes too loud. The tension in the room is its own living thing. You've been distracted, she says finally. Too focused on legacy. On what this meant. But that's not how you scale. I lean in. My voice drops. And you've been too focused on Kade. On what he can do for you. Her eyes harden, and for a second, I think she might snap. Instead, she just says, you're letting your emotions cloud your judgment, Eli. I almost laughed. You used to say my emotions were the reason this company had a soul. She doesn't answer. And that silence? That's all I need. I push back from the desk and leave the room without another word. I don't need to win this fight. Not today. But something inside me, the part that once only lived to support her, is dying. And something else is beginning to breathe. The invitation hit my inbox at 6:13 p.m., just as I was locking up for the night. Subject, NeuroSync Private Gala, Visionaries, VCs and Vanguard Tech. Dress code, formal. Required attendance, all founding team and leadership. Required. Of course. Because nothing says optional like a mandatory party thrown in honor of your replacement. The gala is at the Meridian Dome, glass ceiling, rooftop view of the city, and more champagne than anyone needs. I walk in wearing a suit that still smells faintly of mothballs. Haven't touched it since the last funding round. Inside, everything glows in soft whites and ambient purples. The NeuroSync logo pulses on massive screens like a heartbeat trying too hard to be elegant. I spot Nova almost immediately. She's radiant, hair pinned up, sleek black dress hugging her like confidence itself. She's standing beside Kade, laughing, champagne in hand, as if the last few weeks didn't carve a hole in everything we built. I try not to look, but of course I do. She hasn't even glanced in my direction. Fancy seeing you sulking in a corner, Leah says, appearing at my elbow with a glass of sparkling water. You look like you coated your tux. I force a smile. If I wear black, no one can see the existential dread. She snorts, then leans in. Kade just announced a Sentinel beta at the next VC panel. He's naming it Mind Mesh. Catchy, I say. Like malware. I scan the crowd, angel investors, tech media, some nervous engineers. Everyone's here to toast the future. No one realizes what it's built on: silence, betrayal, and a dream dissected into dollar signs. Across the room, Nova clinks her glass with someone and finally looks my way. Our eyes lock. And for a second, just one breath, I think I see it. No regret. Not guilt. Just distance. She gives me a tight smile and turns back to Kade. That's when I pull out my phone, open our private thread, once filled with notes, ideas, confessions at 2 a.m. And I hit block. No hesitation. Leah watches me. You sure? Yeah, I whisper. I've been orbiting her too long. Time to land somewhere real. Later, Nova takes the stage. She thanks the investors. Credits the Sentinel team. Highlights Kade's leadership and foresight. My name doesn't come up once. When she steps off the podium, cameras flash. Kade pulls her close, whispering something in her ear that makes her laugh. And something inside me, something old and foolish, finally crumbles. Not because I hate her, but because I don't want to chase her anymore. This gala isn't a celebration. It's a funeral for the version of me who built a life around her. Monday morning hits like static, loud, grating, impossible to ignore. The office buzzes with artificial excitement. Everyone's gushing about the gala, reposting clips of Nova's speech, resharing photos of Kade with investors like he's the second coming of Jobs. Me? I'm just trying to keep my hands from shaking. Because today I'm done being quiet. Done being polite. Done pretending this is the company I signed up for. I slip a flash drive into my pocket. The contents. A signed memorandum from Kade to a defense contractor, confirming a beta trial of Mind Mesh on test subjects, without consent forms. The same file Nova swore didn't exist when I confronted her 2 weeks ago. The leak won't destroy the company, but it'll pull the rug hard enough to show what's underneath. The dev floor is humming with activity when I step into the war room. All team leads present. Kade at the front, gesturing at a sleek demo interface on the screen. Nova by his side, eyes fixed ahead, unreadable. He's mid-pitch. Imagine public transit networks where every outburst or violent impulse is flagged before it happens. This is preemptive safety. It's predictive trust. I step forward. And what happens when you're wrong? Everyone turns. Kade narrows his eyes. Eli, good for you to join. You'll love this. Emotion mapping now runs in sub-second intervals. I'm sure the defense contractor you're testing it on does love that. A hush. Someone's keyboard stops clacking mid-keystroke. Nova straightens. Eli. I pull the flash drive from my pocket, plug it into the conference terminal. A document opens, time-stamped, signed, confirmed. Subject, Beta Sync Integration, Tier 1 Contractor Agreement. Authorized by, Kade Rowan, CTO. Use case, high-risk predictive evaluation, undisclosed subject pool. Consent acquired, no. Gasps. A low murmur spreads. You went behind protocol, I say, voice even. Behind legal. Behind us. Kade chuckles, the kind of laugh people give when they've already chosen to gaslight you. This is standard edge case testing. You know how innovation works, break a few rules. You mean ethics, I snapped. You mean human rights. Nova steps between us. Eli, this wasn't your call to make. My blood chills. So that's it? I ask. You're standing with him. Her jaw tightens. I'm standing with the future. No apology. No hesitation. Leah stands slowly at the side of the room. You lied, Nova. To your team. To your co-founder. To the people who trusted you. I made a decision, Nova says sharply. Hard choices are part of leadership. Kade places a hand on her back. That little gesture feels louder than any argument. I stare at them, these two people I once admired. One I once loved. And I realized something. They don't see me anymore. Not as a partner. Not as a builder. Just as an obstacle. I walk out of the room to the sound of silence. No one stops me. No one calls after me. It's not a dramatic exit. It's not fireworks. It's something colder. Final. Back at my desk, I sit for a while. Just breathing. Just, processing. Then I delete our shared folder. Archive every file that had our names on it. I pull out my phone. Scroll through the old photos, the ramen nights, the whiteboard sketches, her smile when I handed her the first chip prototype. I select all. And I hit delete. It's 12:13 a.m. I'm sitting in my apartment, back pressed against the cold wall like I'm waiting for a war that's already started. My laptop glows in front of me. Terminal open, cursor blinking like it knows what I'm about to do. The flash drive sits beside me, like a loaded gun. Nova hasn't messaged me. Not a single word since the meeting. But that silence says more than any angry reply could. She's already erased me. I stare at the leak portal I created last year, encrypted, anonymous, triple-layered routing. A dead man's switch, made just in case. I never imagined I'd be the one triggering it. I hover my finger over the execute upload button. Then I hear it, her voice. Eli, don't. Except, she's not here. I whip around. Empty apartment. No knock. No phone call. But the voice was hers. Inside my head. Crystal clear. Just like that night at the gala. My fingers freeze. I whisper, Nova. Nothing. I wait. 10 seconds. 20. Then I exhale a breath I didn't know I was holding and click. Upload initiated. 30 minutes later, the leak hits 3 major forums. Then Reddit. Then X. Within hours, it's trending. Hashtag mindmesh abuse. Hashtag Nova New. Hashtag CTO leaks. Whistleblower analysis starts pouring in. Experts confirm the document's real. A journalist calls it, the most precise case of ethical sabotage in Silicon Valley since Cambridge Analytica. And me? I sit alone, surrounded by pizza crusts and empty Red Bull cans, watching the digital wildfire consume the empire I helped build. The phone finally rings. Not hers. Leah's. I picked it up. Yeah. You did it. Her voice is soft, uncertain. Yeah. They're saying you vanished. Kade told the board you were mentally unstable. That you forged it. Typical. I know the doc's real. You wouldn't risk this unless it was. I close my eyes. What happens now? The board's calling an emergency meeting tomorrow. Shareholders want heads. And Nova? She's going to fight back. Of course she is. She always does, I whisper. 3:11 a.m. There's a knock at my door. Not gentle. Not hesitant. It's loud. Relentless. I creep over, heart in my throat. I already know who it is. I opened it. Nova stands there, drenched from rain, fury burning behind her eyes. You leaked it, she says. You lied, I replied. We stand there for a beat. The thunder rolls behind her. You don't understand what you've done, she hisses. I understand perfectly, I say. You sold out everything we built to control people's minds. I didn't sell out, she snaps. I evolved. Her eyes gleam. Not tears. Adrenaline. You used to believe in me, she adds. I did. Until you started reading my mind to win board meetings. That lands. She flinches. You're scared of what I might find, she says. I'm scared of what you already have. She looks away, just for a moment. That's when I know I'm right. I can't let you destroy this, she says quietly. I'm not destroying it. I'm giving it back to the people it stole from. We lock eyes. No more noise. Just breath, rage, and heartbreak. Finally, she turns and walks away, leaving muddy footprints behind. I close the door. I know what tomorrow brings. Lawyers, NDAs, hit pieces, threats. But for the first time in 3 years, I feel clean. Nova can read my mind all she wants now. Because there's nothing left to hide. Only the truth. The boardroom felt colder than usual. Not because of the AC. Because Nova wasn't sitting at the head of the table. She stood instead, flanked by lawyers in crisp suits, her arms crossed like she was facing a firing squad she refused to fear. I sat at the far end, in a guest chair. Not part of the board anymore. Not CTO. Not even an employee. Just the guy who torched his own house and is now watching the fire from across the street. Kade, one of the shareholders said, voice stern. The documents leaked last night, are they authentic? Kade didn't blink. Forgeries. Crafted by someone with a grudge. All eyes turned to me. I didn't forget anything, I said. Calm. Deadpan. You all just never bothered to look. Leah slid a printed report down the table. Independent analysts have verified metadata. Timestamps. IP logs. The whistleblower's story checks out. A murmur spread across the room. Shareholders shifted. Lawyers whispered. Nova raised her hand. Everyone quieted. Let's say, hypothetically, these documents were real, she said, her voice smooth, diplomatic. What exactly is the crime? Innovation? Progress? I stood up. The crime, I said, is manipulating user behavior without consent. The crime is experimenting on people's thoughts, emotions, and impulses for profit. Nova's lips twitched. Almost a smirk. You're painting us as monsters, Eli. But we built this together. You just didn't have the stomach for what it became. I stepped closer. My voice dropped to a whisper only the table could hear. No, Nova. I just didn't lose my soul in the process. By afternoon, the headlines screamed across every major tech outlet. MindMesh CTO exposes neuromarketing espionage. Nova Shea faces ethics probe. Internal memo hints at thought surveillance. Nova's lawyers moved fast. Statements. Threats. Legal denials. But the seed had been planted. And it was sprouting. Later that night, I sat on a rooftop bar with Leah. The city buzzed below us, oblivious to the digital war unfolding in its veins. You know she'll come after you, Leah said. She already has. You okay? I looked up at the stars. For the first time in years. I think I am. Silence stretched between us. Not uncomfortable. Just honest. I never asked, she said. Why'd you stay with her so long? I smiled bitterly. Because I believed in her more than I believed in myself. And now I know better. She nodded. Good. Because you're going to need every ounce of that belief, for what's next. What do you mean? Leah slid a phone across the table. It was open to a secure message. A group of ex-MindMesh engineers. Whistleblowers. Coders. Designers. Former dreamers. They were reaching out to me. Looks like you started something, she said. I stared at the names. One after another. Maybe I hadn't just burned a bridge. Maybe I lit a path. I didn't expect her to show up at my apartment. But Nova Shea never did what anyone expected. She stood at my door in a charcoal trench coat, hair tied back, no security, no entourage, just her, holding a look I hadn't seen in years. Something between regret and rage. "Can we talk?" she asked. I should have said no. Should have shut the door. Should have reminded her what she'd done to me, to my career, to everything we built. But I stepped aside. She walked in like she still owned the place. Because in some ways, she did. We sat opposite each other on the same couch where we once fell asleep working on beta designs, fingers stained with marker ink and Thai takeout boxes stacked high. "I didn't know you kept the drawings," she said, eyes lingering on the framed sketch I'd hung above the TV, our first prototype of mind mesh. "I kept a lot of things," I replied. Like the belief that I still had a conscience. "No," I said. "I let that go after year 2. Silence. Then she spoke. "You know what the glitch was?" she asked. "What?" "When I started reading your thoughts. I expected hatred, fury, vengeance. I stayed quiet. But all I found," she said, "was sadness. The kind that clings to the corners of your mind like smoke from an old fire. I didn't know you could hurt like that. Then you never really knew me." Her eyes flicked up. "No. I did. I just edited that part out." I laughed, dry and bitter. "Just like you edited user behavior." Her lips trembled for a split second. Then she looked away. "I didn't come to beg," she said. "I didn't assume you would. I came to return something." She reached into her coat and slid a silver chip onto the table. Thin, sleek, familiar. "What is it?" "The backup key to the mesh core. The version before we corrupted it." My heart thudded. Hard. "You kept it?" "I couldn't destroy it," she said. "Because some part of me knew one day I'd need to give it to you. Not for redemption. But, because you were always the better part of what we made." For a moment, the room tilted. Past and present collided. A younger version of me wanted to believe her. I wanted to forgive. But I wasn't that man anymore. "I don't trust you," I said. She nodded. "I wouldn't either. But I trust the part of you that created this chip." Her eyes met mine. And for the first time, I didn't see the CEO. Or the mind reader. Or even the woman I once worshipped. I saw the mirror of myself I'd buried, ambitious, flawed, burning for something bigger than ego. "I hope you do something better with it," she said. "I already am." She stood. "I'll be gone by morning," she said. "Europe. Damage control." I followed her to the door. I opened it. She stepped out, paused, and whispered, "For what it's worth. I'm sorry I never learned to read your mind." I held her gaze. "And I'm sorry I never tried to win yours." The door clicked shut behind her. And just like that, the past walked away. That night, I uploaded the backup chip. Mind mesh, clean and uncorrupted, pulsed back to life in my hands. Not a weapon. Not a spy tool. Just a beautiful idea that deserved better. So I gave it a new name. True Signal. And a new mission. To protect thought, not exploit it. 3 weeks later, I stood on the stage of the Mindtech Expo, no longer in the shadows of Nova Shea. No longer, her assistant. No longer anyone's echo. The crowd before me wasn't massive, but it was real. Tech journalists. Independent developers. Students. People who still believed in ethics. People looking for something untainted. I took a deep breath. "My name is Kade Voss," I said, voice steady, heart pounding. "And today, I'm releasing something I once helped build, and then watched become corrupted." The screen behind me lit up with the new logo, True Signal. I didn't need gimmicks or neural spectacles. Just the truth. True Signal protects your inner world. It doesn't read your thoughts. It shields them. We believe privacy is a right, not a feature. There was a moment of silence. Then a ripple of applause. And then, a standing ovation. After the launch, I stepped outside into the chilly evening air. The city skyline stretched before me, a maze of ambition, neon, and broken promises. But something felt whole. David was waiting by the car. He clapped me on the back. "You did it, man." "No," I said. "We did." He grinned. "How does it feel?" "Like I finally exhaled after 3 years of holding my breath." We drove through the city. Past the building where I once served coffee to Nova before meetings. Past the bench where I sat after she first kissed me. Past the hotel where I spent nights alone, wondering what went wrong. Every landmark felt like a closed tab in my memory now. At home, I opened my journal, yes, a real one, and wrote. She read my mind, but never my heart. I gave her the best of me, and she weaponized it. But she also left me with the tools to rebuild. And now, I'm building something no one can hijack. Not even me. There was a knock at the door. Not Nova. Not a reporter. It was Ava, the intern-turned-developer who'd followed my project from the start. She held a small box. "I made something for the product launch," she said. Inside was a handcrafted neural pendant engraved with a single phrase. "Think freely." I smiled. "Thank you," I said. "To believe in people again," she replied. "Even after everything." That night, I dreamed, not of Nova, not of fame, not of betrayal, but of clarity. A mind without noise. A future not programmed by someone else's hands. And when I woke up, I didn't check the news. Didn't check for headlines. I just sat by the window, watching the light pour in, whispering to no one but myself. I'm finally free.